Yeah.
Okay, it's 3:00 and you're live.
All right, thanks. I'll call the December 6, 2021 Utility Committee meeting to order.
Second.
I have a roll call. I guess she left. Do you want to?
Ron Senna? Here. Counselor John Cornelius?
Here.
Adam Sanchez?
Here.
Tim Dodge?
Here.
Joe Eby? Not present.
All right, thanks. Can we get a motion to approve the agenda?
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, we need an approval of the last minute meeting's notes.
I'll make a motion to approve the last meeting's notes as presented.
Second. Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, we need to get, this is our yearly thing. We're doing it before the new year even. How about that? The open meetings resolution. So, has anybody looked at that or?
It's the same as last year's, just the dates for January and December.
Okay. Can we get a motion to approve the open meetings?
I'll make a motion for the approval of the 2022 open meetings resolution as presented.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, since you didn't bring Ashley with you, it's all up to you now.
I got it.
Sit to the side so you can see me.
You know that square's in your way.
I didn't want to look at Adam anyway.
Well, you can move that chair appropriately.
So, for the sewer audit, we don't have any advancement. Ashley wasn't able to have the time to send out letters, for several months actually, and, we really need help with that. Adam, I don't know if you've got staff that can help with sending out the letters, because it's quite a process to stuff the letters and keep track of the certified receipts, and we just really need help.
Eric, what I would recommend is that you get together with Samantha. You know, her staff does that kind of stuff all the time. And
Okay.
get together with her and she can have Stephanie and Christie help you.
Okay,
They're pretty much set up to get that done, so. Those guys can pitch in and help out.
And we'll be willing to help any way we can too, Eric. We can sit down and talk about it and see if we can coordinate it.
Okay. So then the water audit, I gave you guys the printout for the report. The really, good thing from this month is that we kept up with our, having more billed consumption than non-revenue water. So that is good. Our trend is still down, although we did see a substantial drop in water sales and a pretty big jump in non-revenue water. It still was lower non-revenue water. And this is for October. Pretty typical for us to see October be one of our lowest, is regularly one of our lowest water sale months. Anyone have any questions about the audit?
Nope.
For asset management, we're still resolving some of the issues with updating our geodatabase to a portal system. But I think that we've resolved all of the issues on the GIS side. And so with that, we'll make our utility network geodatabase and then have the Southwest Environmental Finance Center will be able to input the data into the geodatabase. And then for the risk and resiliency assessment, Ashley and staff have been hammering out a lot of that document, and we're just about done, so that we can have the sit-down meeting with all the directors to discuss it. We just have some final inspections that we're doing with water production. Randy's been helpful. Him and his staff have been doing some final inspections. And then Ashley and I have a few left to do, and then we should be ready to submit after we have that sit-down meeting with the directors.
What's the deadline on that?
The 31st. So it's not been a fun 2-year process. When we keep
Just
moving
keep
on?
going.
Okay. So in the planning section, we've got the Upper Canyon surface diversion. So with the remaining portion of the Moles and Corbin contract that had the Upper Canyon surface diversion on it, we'll create a design only for the Upper Canyon surface diversion and use that as a project on the shelf for either upcoming infrastructure funds, or if it doesn't get funded in that way, it would actually be a really good project to apply for the Water Trust Board next funding cycle for the Water Trust Board. But regardless, we'll have the design on the shelf. I've got the task order on tomorrow's workshop meeting for that contract to start.
Do you have any anticipated construction costs?
It would be, Moles and Corbin's estimate is 1.2 million. And we're recommending to move forward with the Kawanda screen, which is a stainless steel screen that self-cleans as water goes over. And so we won't have to maintain the diversion weir that keeps filling up with sediment. It will just self-clean it. And then when we open it up, it will flush out any of the fines that get in the screen. It should be a pretty slick setup for us.
Are they looking at any type of sediment?
So that's gonna be part of the upfront, the first meeting that we'll have with them is talk about potentials. It's so crowded up in the Upper Canyon, I'm kind of wondering if we need to run the water down to Grindstone and then have a catchment basin that we can dredge out periodically. Not that that area's got a bunch of space, but there's a little bit more than the Upper Canyon.
That sediment basin there that you're talking about, that would need to be, come from the point of diversion though, right? Not through the line and then catch it at Grindstone. Am I thinking of something else?
No, so I mean, if we can fit something up in the Upper Canyon, I mean, that's what we should do. But I just don't know that there's the I don't know that we have the property or the elevations to do that. So it's something that we just need to do an assessment to figure out what's best. I mean, I don't want to run a bunch of sediment through the line, but we already are.
I think the screens though, like you said, if you put the
It's
mesh.
gonna be, yeah, so the screens are gonna help us eliminate any type of sand or bigger. It's gonna be the silt that's would be able to come through. And so if we just had a settlement basin to let some of that precipitate out.
Okay.
But we just that's why we just need to have that conversation with the engineer. So that's gonna be probably one of the main topics of our pre-engineering meeting.
If I can help you out with that or whatever, let me know.
Okay. Because I don't know what our grades are, but maybe we can do something kind of like a structure we have on Eagle Creek, right there next to McDaniel Bridge, where we have that strip of property.
Mm-hmm.
That might be a potential spot. We just have to make sure we have the elevation for it.
Gotcha.
Any other questions on the Upper Canyon surface diversion? So the Two Rivers Park, River Restoration Phase 3, and Hazard Mitigation Location 25. So the Two Rivers Park sustained damage from the July flood event. There was the railroad tie retaining wall that's right there by that pedestrian bridge. And so that's under threat of collapsing, and we were going to apply under the Building Resilient Infrastructure and Communities Fund under FEMA, which is a 25% match requirement to fix that retaining wall. The hazard mitigation location 25 is right there in the middle of Two Rivers Park. As part of the Moles and Corbin design, the FEMA funds basically obligated that hazard mitigation structure to physically touch the sewer line. And so because of that, in the confines of the funding source, Moles and Corbin is building their standard structure that they're proposing up and down the river. But that standard structure is going to eliminate about 30 trees. Several of them are greater than 24-inch DBH. So these are some huge trees that are going to be taken out. It's going to change the entire nature of the park right at the playground area. So location 25 is going to be replaced with a heavy rock boulder series of 3 rock weirs, which, because we're using a different funding source, it doesn't have to be physically tied to the line. We'll still meet all of the criteria that we want for the sewer line. It's still going to have 5 feet of scour protection. The rock weirs are going to control lateral migration of the river, but it's going to not have to tear out the trees. It will actually be able to work in with all of the existing trees.
What kind of funding source on that?
So that's one that we're going to combine with the other project and apply under the BRIC program. So even with the basically with our 25% match versus the 7% match that we were doing under our current design, it's only gonna cost us about an extra 20 grand to basically add a feature to the park and have the same level of protection for the sewer line. So it was a no-brainer. We save a bunch of trees, spend a little bit of money, and gain a lot more for the community. And so the way that those brick funds work is you have to outline what infrastructure you're protecting. And because we're gonna be protecting a sewer line that has a huge amount of flow, there's a lot of damages that we'll be able to prevent. So it's gonna help make our other project more competitive by grouping them all together as one. So we've got a task order for Riverbed Engineering on this next council meeting tomorrow to do the design work for those two projects. And then once we have the preliminary design complete, we'll put in the application for the brick funding.
Have those guys given the report on the damage in the Upper Canyon on the private property that,
We're working through it still. We're trying to coordinate a meeting on Friday to finalize some stuff. We've been trying to make sure that the designs for the EWP, the Emergency Watershed Protection Program, meet our objectives as a community. And so we're trying to make sure that they adequately protect our infrastructure, but also have beneficial impacts for fish and aesthetics. And so we're just about reaching a common ground, and this Friday should be the thing that brings us together, and finally we'll have a good solution that both people can agree on.
good. And keep it from looking like Disney World.
What's that?
Keep it from looking like Disney World with all the fake rocks, stained rocks.
Yep. Or some Los Angeles drainage stormwater canal. So the Alto Reservoir improvements, like I said, we're just waiting for the final memo from Molson Corbin, but that will be in our hand by the time we award the contract for the engineering work for that project. The underground storage and recovery, we had our meeting with the state engineer last week. I wouldn't say it went good or bad, it kind of just went nowhere. And that's kind of what you would expect from a state engineer who's resigned and is just in his seat until the end of the year. So it wasn't what we were accustomed to in the past with John D'Antonio. So we're working on some other water right issues, and then once another state engineer is named, we'll pick that process back up.
You have any feel for who that may be?
Well, they're assigning some interim water resource something. They're not even gonna have a state engineer for a little bit. And I don't even know how it works, because the state engineer is required for certain processes for the state to work. So it'll be interesting. But no, I haven't heard anything about any proposals of state engineers. The Wingfield Park and Midtown drainage improvements, we're just waiting for the finalization for the Wingfield Park master plan, which we did reviews at the directors meeting, and we did reviews at the Watershed Advisory Committee. So I think that we're getting closer and closer to having a plan that will be presented to council, but I'm not sure exactly when that is. But once we get that approved, then we can move forward with that stormwater project.
Is the state highway department involved in that in any way?
No.
'Cause once upon a time, they had concerns about our drainage running down on Sudreth.
It might be worth the conversation. I mean, there's definitely not any drainage coming off of the highways. But I wonder how much they'd work with us on preventing drainage from going onto the highway.
Yeah, I don't know, but they didn't seem to want to take any responsibility for the flooding that was on Sudreth.
Sure,
It got blamed on our
yeah.
stuff.
Ron, you're kind of the streets guru for funding. You know, is there some pots available for stuff like that from DOT?
Can always ask.
Okay. Well,
Besides the LGRF funds with local government road funds, that's a lot that the entities are able to apply for. That's what Josh applies for in the map and co-op.
okay, well, maybe I can just work with you to.
Where it's a state highway? Is there any from there right away?
No, but I mean, the Wingfield Park is basically draining towards the highway, so, it might, we'll just have to dig into it a little bit.
I think one of the main things is the way Wingfield Park drains off. It actually goes underneath because at Center and Sudreth at one time used to be like a low water crossing, and there's a big. I mean, it used to have a big dip right there, and they put drainage across it when they redid the I don't know, what was it, 20 years ago when they redid the Midtown. They did put that drainage going across, but I mean, I think if along with the Center Street realignment, I think if we look at that, I think it'll help us out just getting the water off of, excess water off of Center and Sudreth.
Sure.
Well, when we had that flooding down at Brunel's and the cupcake shop, a lot of that was coming out of the pub parking lot, I think, and sheeting across, because there's not any drainage on that side. But they pretty much said that it was our fault.
Yeah, it was coming out of the pub, and then we had some that come off of behind the Midtown restrooms.
Yeah,
They're from West Street in Wingfield up there.
yeah, I don't think that guy that owns those cabins up there did us any favors when he
Agreed.
worked up there.
Agreed.
Okay, I'll check, see if we can find some alternative funding sources, while we still have some time to apply for some stuff.
Yeah,
So Eagle Creek Wellfield Phase 3, so I did get good news last week. We are gonna be recommended for funding for the Water Trust Board for that project to the legislature. So we have to wait for the regular session to occur for us to actually have those funds approved, but I put in for, it was like $660-some thousand. And so we'll get a portion of that as a grant, so we should have right around $600,000 of funds coming our way for the 2 wells that are below Alto Reservoir.
good.
Okay, I'm done for a little bit.
Who's doing hazard mitigation and stabilization?
So that'll be me. Moles and Corbin is gonna be in town tomorrow and Wednesday, with the latest edition of their plan set. We're gonna do a site visit with all 39 locations in review of the plans tomorrow and Wednesday, and that's in hopes of having, they're hoping to have their final plan set out by December 17th. And if that deadline happens, then they're hoping to advertise. We're hoping to advertise the same time, December 17th.
Great. I don't know what we'll do once that's all done.
I'm sure we'll find something else to do. Pine Cliff, we had the design review last Tuesday, looking at easements and lift stations. It looks like we're looking at least 3 lift stations up in Pine Cliff. Maybe eliminating one of the grinder pumps that we have up there. It's a E1, a single E1 up there right now, and hopefully eliminating that, putting in a full-blown lift station. The other 2 will be either the quad or dual E1s in off of Swallow, maybe off of Lark, and then the one off of Mockingbird, the bottom of Mockingbird down there. So the engineering on that's coming halfway decent. Those guys are on it, water and sewer side and streets.
That'll all be CDBG.
Hopefully
Grant money.
CDBG, yes, and we're gonna split that up in different zones of the project. I need to get out and actually do the evaluations of that. We have 46 of them to do, and we're gonna go ahead and get all 46 done. That way we can kind of sum it up in different project areas.
Now, is that the survey of the owners, or do you still have to do that?
The survey of the LMI, low to moderate income surveys. Not that I'm aware of. We can do calls, that's one of the things, we can do phone calls, but it's a lot better, if you actually go out and meet with the people. They're a lot more responsive a lot of times.
On quite a few of those houses are permanently occupied up there.
Yeah, and maybe we can get, some of the ones that aren't permanently occupied, we can get them by phone, but,
Yeah.
I think I've got a better response, especially like with Town and Country. We got a lot better response actually showing up on the doorstep and explaining everything to them.
That, most of them ought to be excited about that. I know Jace has done some work up there, whether that works or not.
No, but yeah, it's going to be better once it's there.
Just don't send me out to go door to door, because I got a lot of calls saying, hey, there's this weird guy. You're not gonna go.
You did such a good job though, Eric.
Yeah.
Okay, Grindstone Dam projects, that sounds like Randy.
Good afternoon. I know in the last meeting, the capital projects meeting, Tim had asked for some information on the dams. So I submitted pretty much all the information that I had on the 29th. And hopefully that answers any questions that might be coming up. What I did is I addressed all the issues from the inspection, and then kind of gave a status on where we're at for each issue. And going over the dam drain cleaning, the big thing on that item is we extended the bids from 11/22 to 12/14. And then that pushed the award date from December 14th to January 11th. And then I did send a couple of emails to James Head to give him an update and to let him know that we were extending it. And he replied right away, and he thought that was a real good idea. So that's the big thing on the draining project. The outlet work inspection is in the works. I know they're reviewing and putting a plan together. I think we're going to be meeting on that sometime soon. And the 2 other projects, the emergency spillway inspection and repair and the Grindstone Dam surface concrete repair, we're going to combine those. And that'll be one project. That's pretty much will be one of the last projects that we have to take care of, for the for the reports. And, the 2 dam inspection or the 2 dam monitoring, they're all completed. So we're done for 2021. Other than that, I'll stand for any questions.
Randy, under your report, you talk about, you got a pending issue on the spillway and the diversion channel.
Tim, I'm having a real hard time hearing you.
Randy, on your report, you put pending on your engineering design for the spillway and diversion channel. When
Yes.
When do you plan on addressing that?
I know they wanted to get this the dam cleaning project kicked off first, and then I think they were going to address that one. But I can talk to Gresh and get a finalized date on that.
And, Tim, it was, James Head that actually put the prioritization on the projects. And so out of the compliance projects, the spillway and the resurfacing were, low priority.
Yeah.
So the cleaning and then the, conduit inspections are the highest priority items.
Okay.
But yeah, they're moving along on the other two. And I'm assuming they'll put an RFP or an IFB together for that last project that we're going to combine.
Okay, thank you.
All right, Paradise Canyon work in the whole road.
So that project bid, 2 weeks ago, had 2 bidders on it. And, the low bidder last week came in and pulled their bid. They cited a mathematical error. And, the second bidder was, way past the 10% threshold, so we're gonna have to put that back out to rebid. So you'll see,
Only $500,000 off.
yeah, they were just $500,000 high. Second bidder was, but, in the council, you'll see the, recommendation, no award for that, so we're going to put it back to bid.
How long will that be?
I don't know. I hadn't been involved in that conversation with Karen and Moles and Corbin, but, I think there's been some email traffic that they want to get it out as quickly as possible because we still have.
You have paving to do there.
Correct. So it's just, that pushes us back a little bit. But we still have to get it out and get it done before the paving hits in the springtime, so.
Yeah.
It's high priority for Molson and us to get it back out to bid.
And the low bidder did to come in right around the engineer's estimate, actually a little bit over the engineer's estimate, but
Right.
they feel that they did make a mathematical error and they can't do it for that. So,
Do you think they'll rebid it
I
when we
doubt
go
it.
out again?
I doubt it. We had it was a mandatory pre-bid. We had 4 contractors at the mandatory pre-bid, but only 2 turned in bids, so hoping to get a little more
and
involvement.
we did do a field visit also during the mandatory pre-bid also, so, I mean, the questions that were asked were answered in addendums and all that also.
Well, everybody's busy.
Yes, sir.
All right. Eric, I think the next 2 or 3 are yours.
Yeah. So the master planning rate analysis, we had a series of 4 meetings to review the proposals. Tomorrow at the workshop meeting, we'll be discussing the recommendation to award. Sauter Mill and Associates partnered with Site Southwest and Raifalis.
I can't.
You'll have to make fun of me tomorrow for that.
Raftillis.
Raftillis? I'll have it written down for me.
Broken out.
Partnered for the planning and finance component. And then we're gonna be recommending Sauter Mill and Associates for the water master plan. And then, Moles and Corbin for the sewer collections and the wastewater, treatment plant master plans. And then a non-award for solid waste and a request to re-advertise. We just had one, submission for that from Moles and Corbin, and AECom partnered together. And the committee just didn't feel they conveyed their New Mexico experience to the extent we needed. So at least get that part, or the process started for the others, and then we'll get solid waste in the mix again once we re-advertise and hopefully get a qualified candidate. The water resource projects, the engineering is the next priority advertisement, but, Zeke, do you have an idea when that tentatively is?
I don't.
Okay. I believe that our target was gonna be for the February council meeting, so it's gonna have to probably come out here pretty soon. I just need to rework the scope of work since we, are doing the Upper Canaan surface diversion. That was one of the projects that was included in that engineering RFP. Since we're doing that with Moles and Corbin, we can cut that out. For the leak detection, we've got that out right now. And our targeted award date is gonna be January. We've been getting a lot of questions from potential offers. So I'm hoping that that's a good sign that we'll actually have some people putting in proposals.
Yeah.
So we'll see. I'm excited for it, and I wanna get that started a year ago.
And I think one of the things that we can look at with that, Eric, too, is, you know, Marty's been looking at leak detection equipment for the department and asking for demos on some of the equipment. And basically, the response we've gotten is it's not worth it to them to come up and actually do a demo. So maybe some of the leak detection that gets brought up, we can work
Okay.
with.
The other thing is we got so Compass Tools was bought by a different company, and we actually had the sales rep come here, and they have a whole bunch of leak detection equipment, and I know that they would be willing to stop by and. It's a company that bought Compass Tools, but Ashley has the contact information if you want to talk to her tomorrow. And she actually has they gave her a document, a sales ad that shows all the leak detection equipment.
What I would recommend you do is find somebody that has equipment and go and, visit with the operators and see how it's going.
So
What lessons they have.
I might call Carlos in Albuquerque, because they have staff that all they do is leak detection.
That's what I was thinking.
And maybe we can meet up with him. We would probably hit up Rio Rancho at the same time. I think that they have an active leak detection program.
And Las Cruces also.
So, let me, Marty and Adam, we can reach out to some of my water conservation contacts in those areas, and maybe we can coordinate something.
Okay.
Do that too, even that pamphlet that you guys gave me, I called them, and said it wasn't worth it to them to come do it again.
Oh, that might have been the pamphlet. He came out, the dude came out here and he met with me and Ashley just to introduce himself, and he was super excited about working with us.
I called them and they said they don't want to give them, so.
Okay. That's, I guess, the new thing is you have to beg people
To sell you
To
something.
buy some.
yeah.
He said, I really wanted to see it, he says he can't do, something like this on Zoom from their office to show us what they do.
Well, I guess maybe if they have a GoPro on their head or something, they can.
So Eric, how many, remember that last guy was here, what was his name? That company that came down, who was out with him doing that? I know you were part of it.
Jody was the person who helped him the most. So,
Been a few years now, but.
yeah. I mean, the other thing too is some of this equipment is not like absurdly expensive. I mean, if we feel that it's gonna work with our material, it might be worth also just taking the risk and buying some stuff, especially if we can go to a couple municipalities and see what they've got.
And you know, the sounders are not, I mean, they're not that high tech. They're just, that's what they are, sounders. We do need some, we do have some on hand right now, but the correlators and some of the ultrasonic, pieces of equipment is what we're actually looking at.
Yeah, where you can deploy it.
Yep.
Okay. So on to construction, stormwater management at Horton Complex. Zeke, do you wanna take this one for me?
Yeah, there's not really any update on that one since the last meeting. It's still slated to happen in the springtime for the Horton. We've been in contact with the schools there at the admin building and working around them. White Sands is working on getting their fence set up for the construction fence.
Yeah.
Nothing's really gonna happen in the parking lot till the springtime. Then lift stations and force mains, moving on to the next one. Smithco's finishing up the installation of the gravity sewer up near the circle. Should be done with that probably this week, I'm thinking, that as much as they had left to do. Their traffic control's still set up. They're gonna revise that later on this week and start doing some testing on those manholes and the new manholes they've installed there at the top of near the circle there. And so they've also started working on the pumps there at the circle lift station down at the bottom. And I think their plan is, right at first of the year, they're gonna jump over and start work at the Sleepy Hollow location. So that one's moving along pretty nicely.
And they've worked with us really well as far as the traffic control and stuff like that for the holidays. And like Zeke said, they're hoping to be out of Sutter by the end of the week. So we can go in there and, you know, hopefully get that patched and good for the holiday
That'd
weekend.
be good.
And they did, like I said, when they do break off and take their construction down, they work down in the vault with the pumps and everything in the lift station. So they're not stopping work. They're continuing to work.
Well, traffic control in Sleepy Hollows, the road's closed.
Yeah, and there's another way in and out, and we're just gonna have to coordinate with the homeowners. There's a couple of homeowners that it's gonna affect right there, so, you know, just make them happy.
Yeah, well, most of them can just go around the other one, Evans or whatever. Are you getting a building?
That's the rumor, right?
That's the joke of the,
Where did you ever find out about, Ridge Street, that property that they put rocks on?
oh, that's, we were actually talking about that today. Samantha's pulling the plat for us to see if that was actually our property. Track G, and Eric, correct us wrong, you made a comment? No? Okay, never mind. That's what I thought. Anyway, Track G backs up to that property, and I'm pretty sure that's right away. From what Josh had found out, that the homeowners from across the river there had stacked those rocks there because there's people pulling over. So I'm making sure that is ours. We're going to go remove those rocks out of the way. You're right.
So the RJU shop building, the metal building is sitting on the ground up there, so it got delivered, I think, a couple weeks ago. They got all their footings done, over excavated and recompacted. And right now, the latest update is they're waiting on the rebar to show up so their concrete guys can start on their footings and stem walls. So right now, it's another COVID delay.
It's the computer chip.
It's stuck on a freight ship somewhere off of the coast of California, I guess, but, I got an email this morning from White Sands that their rebar should be here this week and they'll mobilize the concrete crew as soon as it hits, so. They've got the footings exposed, ready to basically start forming footings and start cutting and tying rebar.
And we've moved forward on it. At least they did, like I said, dug the footings and they got the building on the ground.
Yeah.
So, the only other thing that I think that, Eric, I need to get with you, we did get our generator back. So we can, fulfill that PO and have them, come and hook ours up and take theirs back so we don't have to pay another month's rent on it.
What's the ETA on the P&M side of it?
Waiting on an update. The last we heard from Monica, they were having an internal meeting last week, and they were supposed to get back to us with their construction schedule, and their fee impact, I guess, the cost of what that's gonna be. We haven't seen that yet.
That was crazy.
Hey, Adam, I can help you out with that generator deal.
Thank you, Randy.
You let me know and then I'll get a hold of Bryce and get it set up for removal.
Sounds good.
It'd be nice too if, everyone could kind of look at that, double throw switch, and see if that's what you guys are comfortable with. Cause I'd like to start putting those in there so that we can hook up generators up to some of our other wells and pumps.
Absolutely. We got the lift stations also. That's one of the circle lift stations, gonna have that on it, so maybe we can pull that.
So just take a look at it, and if you guys, the three, you, Randy and Marty, if you guys are comfortable with it, we can start installing those elsewhere.
Awesome. Yes.
One thing, Eric, I had talked to Chuck and Bryce about a pigtail. I think that would actually be pretty nice, but you just have to make sure you have the same generator that you're going to hook up to all the generator or to the wells and the lift stations. But if we can have the same one, that would be a good way to go, because then it's just, hook up and ready to go.
Okay. Ready to go Eagle Creek?
Yeah.
So the temporary contract suspension is gonna be up this Wednesday. Zeke and I just met with, General Hydronics today, because we are gonna be redoing the road next to Brownwell. And so, General Hydronics is actually gonna be working at Faultwell primarily for this first part. So, we won't be in their way when we're redoing that road. And then we've got a no, dollar amount change order for extension of the contract at the council meeting. And we've got the documentation that they ordered some of the valves that we wanted basically right away when they got their submittals approved, and they're not scheduled to come until the end of January. And then there's two valves, there's two 16-inch valves that they still haven't even given them a delivery date yet. So, we'll have to see. I definitely want them on the project, but I don't know how long we can delay it for these valves. We just wanted more isolation on that water line on Eagle Creek, so when we do get a break, we can isolate it more and not have to worry about draining the whole line when we've got a repair to make.
How big is that line, Eric?
It's variable. Most of it's 16-inch, but it gets up to
18, I think there's a couple pieces, 18,
then it
16,
gets
it
up
goes down to 12 in some spots.
I mean, there's gotta be some type of like hydraulics to it, but it goes down in size as you go down to a lower elevation. So right at, so right at the diversion, I think it's actually like 24 inches or something, a lot bigger, but it's just like a little.
It's a little stretch there, and then it goes down where that vault is, where the meter's at.
Yeah.
So where it drops down to 16, because there's an Aaron vac in the guy's yard that Artie and I fixed, that it was a 16-inch. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then AUI put in the new line that crosses there at the ball fields, and I believe that's 12-inch.
All right, the Alto Crest treatment plant. That's Randy's.
Yes, sir. Okay, the work that was completed since the last pay request, the HVAC installation is completed. They changed out all the wiring for the 3 pancake valves. And that seems to be working really well. And the work in progress is they're working on the electrical installation. And the big part is the instrumentation installation. And 30-day look ahead, is still working on the installations or instrumentation installation and startup. Rob from Mosen and Corbin came out last week. He's their electrical engineer. He came out on Wednesday and we had a pretty good meeting on site. And we were able to kind of hash out some of the issues, with the 6 modulating valves. And I think we have a pretty good game plan. We'll be speaking probably tomorrow to go over everything. He put it all in an email and send it to everybody. And I think he finally understands, how it should work, and having him on site really helped out, because then he was able to look at it and we could all talk about it. And I think it was a pretty productive meeting. But other than that, that's pretty much it for Plant 3. We're just trying to get everything done on the instrumentation and the on the SCADA. And I am putting together a cybersecurity draft of the SCADA system out there. I've worked with the programmer and got a pretty good understanding on how everything works and how everything is set up. And once I get that drafted up real nice, I'll give it to everybody. But they did put some pretty good effort in cybersecurity. I'll stand for any questions.
All right, the restoration of existing sewer lines and manholes.
So SAK was supposed to mobilize last week and fulfill their punch list items. They did not make it up here last week. They had another emergency happen wherever else they're working, so they're supposed to mobilize this week and fulfill their punch list items. Nothing big, just some cuts in the liner. There's a couple little pieces of rehab they need to do. And then the only thing they'll be waiting on is the Fern Trail and the easement in the Fern Trail. And Karen's been working and staying in touch with the Ivies to try to get us that easement so we can fulfill that.
Is that gonna happen?
It needs to, whether we, it's going to be, it's an issue, not just with SAK, but it needs to be done because that line is in really bad shape. It needs to be done.
Well, Mr. Ivy's had a problem since we started years ago on it.
From what I understand is Karen did get the daughter is the actual power attorney.
Okay.
And she is working with her, so I think we will be moving forward with that.
Good.
She didn't have the details, so Karen has sent her the details of it, and she's looking it over, so I think we'll be moving forward with it.
Good deal. Okay, Town and Country.
Town and Country, all the water line on Mary and Valencia and all the side streets, Otero, Shady Lane and San Juan are all tied into the new line. It is up and running. They did grade Mary out. I have been asking the owner to give me a timeline on paving on Mary. They are blue topping today and setting valves to grade. I have not got a definite answer on what date it is. I've contacted the engineer to get me a date. This morning after our meeting, I did hear back from the engineer, and I guess they're having an issue with La Luz Paving, which is actually going to do their paving for them. And they were telling General Hydronics that they were wanting to wait till April because of the weather. But I'm not falling for that. The engineer's not falling for that, and the contractor's not falling for that. We've had nice enough days to pave. So
yeah, the weather's been great.
I told the engineer, and I told them they're supposed to start over a month ago, is what they had told me, and they're not.
Yeah, when they reported the council meeting, they said they're gonna start paving
Yep.
the week after Thanksgiving.
Exactly. And
It's been last week, right?
Yeah, yeah, something like that. But they said, from what I understand from General Hydronics, is they're going to start charging liquidated damages to the subcontractor also from not getting paved. I said, we do what you got to do. I just want it paved. It's got to get done. And I need a timeline because I needed to let the homeowners know and I need to let the council know.
And the weather is gonna turn bad one of these days.
Well, they've had, this last 2 weeks have been great weather.
Yeah.
I mean, that's perfect weather.
Great for paving, but not great weather.
Yeah. Hey, it's been great. Well, yeah, I got you. So I'm staying on top of that, and as soon as I get a definite answer, I'll give an update on that.
You said something about San Juan. We didn't go up San Juan, did we?
No, but we tied into San Juan because it was on the old line on Valencia, tied into Valencia there.
Yeah. So you just put it where those guys can tie in eventually?
It's tied into the existing line there. So it's new line up to San Juan, and then they tied the new line into the old line there, and they can
Okay.
extend out whenever. It's, if we ever go that
Yeah,
direction.
there's not any down San Juan, is there, to the south?
No, that you're talking about sewer. The sewer is subbed out to San Juan. The water is hooked onto the old line there.
Yeah, okay.
Adam, also Marty and his crews, they did an extension there too. What was the total feet on that again?
So between Rio Reba and Doniana, the contractor actually overmilled that. And being that it's already torn up, the sewer crew went in and laid approximately 360 feet of 8-inch sewer line
Good.
in that street with stub outs to each property. And the next thing is we actually have a quote in and trying to get the pipe for the water side of it too, and go ahead and replace the water on that street also. And then the street department will come in and pave it.
Okay.
It's existing, and there's 2-inch right now, we'll be putting in a new 6-inch with a new fire hydrant and everything there on that street.
But these guys, I mean, it took him, what, a week to get that line in?
2 days to get the line in and 3 days for services.
Okay, on the closeout, Eagle Creek and Gavilan Canyon.
So, Terry Yarbrough coordinated a dig in front of Little D to sort out how those lines are going. They found a concrete encased line that's going across the road, but not the lines that they had remote detected that are going up the road on the east side. So we just need to have another meeting out there and discuss our next step, because now I'm just more confused.
Hey, Eric,
Yes.
I think we were gonna actually go out there and redig it. No, I think that might help also. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, if that's what's gonna help, I think we need to dig deeper than what that concrete line is, because I got a feeling that there's lines stacked on top of each other. Somehow that line turns up and goes north, because that's where the water was coming out when we put it into that line.
Yeah, I think that's the old line that was coming from the, one of the old lines coming from the well at one time. But, it's dead, and I don't know why when they turned it on, like you said, we had dead water coming out. I think the line that needs to be tied into is the line coming from, Big D. Correct?
No, we need to tie into the line that's going into the Gavilan tank
Yeah, from Big D,
not from the upper side, but the lower.
the lower side, yes,
So from Hollywood type.
yes, yes, yes. And, if you guys are gonna redig it, let us know. Maybe we can set a ditch witch out there to help you guys out. Maybe we can pothole it.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that would be a good game plan. We all go out on the site and I think more eyes on the dig would be a little bit better. So, but that's our game plan, is to go out and redig it. So.
One of these days we'll be done with that.
Well, I was gonna say, we don't have anything under completed projects, so I'm not sure that's a good sign. All right, does anybody have anything else?
I'll throw one other thing in there. The material from the flood, the grindstone is complete. The contractor hauled it all off and straightened that lot out. Today, they should be finishing up the Gavilan ball field, hauling the rest of that material off also. So that'll be closed out. We have a place to put snow,
What's that?
and then we'll have a place to put snow
Yeah, where'd they take all that stuff?
to Bonnell's down the valley.
Is that who hauled it? All right, it looks like our next meeting's January 3rd. And if nobody has anything else,
Is that a Monday or is that a Tuesday?
It's always on a Monday, right?
Is it always? Not the third is a Tuesday.
First is Saturday.
Yeah, this is Monday.
all right, then we're adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.